And we're back here on the Big Time Sports Podcast Show, here to give you guys the latest in local, statewide, and nationwide athletics. So we're going to take a bit of a break here, and we are going over now to talk to one of the local high school football coaches in the area, Fairless High School's AJ Sarbaugh, as the Falcons gear up for what hopes to be a very successful season for potentially another Pac-7 championship. Now, Coach, thank you so much for joining us, taking the time out of what I'm sure is your busy schedule and talking to us. I'm looking into your guys' season so far, and you guys, obviously, we mentioned before, Division 5, Region 17. You made the postseason last year, ended up playing Poland in the first round this past season, and you returned many players, 18 lettermen, in fact, multiple two-way guys. How are you leaning on your returning lettermen to potentially lead this team when it hopes to be another successful campaign?
I think that's the thing that's different about being at a small school is that these seniors, they've been with us since they were freshmen. So their freshman year, we were 4-6. We were starting to turn things around, and then 6-3. And obviously last year we had the really good season at 9-1 and win the league. So those guys have seen what it takes to be successful. And they've been great leaders since January in the weight room, conditioning, camp days, two-a-days, because they've seen the difference. They know what it's like to have a losing season. They also know what it's like to have a great season. So our seniors have seen a lot. They've played a lot, and we're relying on them heavily to set the tone and set the expectation. And they're doing a really good job bringing our freshmen and sophomores along.
Now, Coach, you mentioned the word in that answer, expectations, right? We just mentioned you're returning 18 lettermen, multiple two-way players who you've had since they were freshmen. And, you know, you've conducted interviews already this preseason. Something I want to talk about is the players that have told you and other media members around the area that, you know, they have their sights set high. They want to go for back-to-back Pac-7 titles, which you won your first Pac-7 title last year for the first time in 42 seasons. And another goal they have is they want to win a home playoff game for what, to my knowledge, would be the first time in program history, as well as stringing together 3 straight winning seasons, which would be the second time in school history. Last time that happened was 1978, 79, 80. How do you tame those expectations, though, right? Because, listen, high school football, it's a weekly grind. You only have 10 games in that schedule, but how do you kind of monitor those expectations and make sure your players are ready to go every week, starting week 1 with Sandy Valley, and so they don't get too far ahead of themselves?
I think that's a great question, and obviously we've got to keep a level head. We tell our kids to stay where your feet are. And in the off season, that's something we talk about. Like, that's the weight room's hard. It's a grind, and you don't play for a while. So we talk to our kids. You've still got a lot of things that haven't been done before. Like you said, 3 winning seasons in a row in 65 years of Fairless football has only happened once. And these guys have a chance to do that. We've never won a home playoff game. We could host 3 home playoff games and chance to win another league title. And these seniors could walk out of here with the most wins in a 4-year span. And in the offseason, I challenge our guys. I let them know that those are out there. And that's what's exciting right now about building the program is that there are things out there that we haven't accomplished or they can accomplish and set this program even higher. But once we get into July and August, it's all about us. Like you said, it's a grind. And we just talk about Fairless football and how we can get better because everybody we play is really good and they're all well coached, and you can't think about that stuff. We tell our kids, you've got a preseason, you've got your non-league, you've got your league, and then week 10 is a season in its own. So we try to break the season up like that. But like you said, every day we have to get better. We have to focus on ourselves. And at the end of the year, hopefully we're checking off some boxes for some of those goals that you mentioned.
Well, Coach, seeing what you guys were able to do last year, you return a lot of your top offensive performers. We mentioned junior quarterback Carson Colucci returning over 1,700 passing yards, 22 touchdowns last year. You had some All-Ohio wide receivers in Brody Pumnio who had 10 scores, I believe just under 800 receiving yards and 48 catches. And you also had Luke Yoder coming back as well. What do you think we can expect from the Falcons passing attack this season? Is it going to be a little more integration in the air? Is it going to be more of the same? And what are you expecting out of your guys?
We'll be pretty similar. You know, we still want to run the ball too. You know, we've got all 5 starting linemen back, and we think we've got a pretty good running back in Peter Killey, a sophomore, and Anthony Stutler, a sophomore. And our belief is that you have to be able to run to throw and throw to run. So obviously everybody's talking about Carson Clucci as they should be. He had a great sophomore year. Brody Pumio was outstanding, and you mentioned his stats. He almost broke a few school records, but got hurt against Toughball, really didn't play the last two games, and Luke Yoder really came on. Both those guys placed at the state track meet, and we're expecting big things out of them catching the ball. But we think that our O-line is pretty good, and we still want to run the football. And if you can't run the football and you can't pass protect with those guys up front, it doesn't matter what your skill is. So really it starts up front for us, but those three guys you mentioned, Carson, Brody, and Luke, are really good. And Gavin Conley and Andy Gill and Landon Seal have also had a good camp for us catching the ball. So if you look at our stats over the years, we'd like to try to spread the ball around and, get everybody involved. I think it makes us harder to defend.
Now, Coach, you said you like to run the ball to set up the pass and pass the ball to set up the run. One thing you guys do lose off that 2021 team is, all-around player that made plays for you offensively, and especially special teams. I remember being out there against Tulsa last year. You guys lose running back Hunter Campbell. Now, you mentioned the two sophomore running backs you have going into this season. Kind of touch on, what did those guys get to learn from Hunter last year? And then have you talked to them about, Hunter was legit, right? We know how big of a part of the offense he was, but not having to really fill those shoes, right? You have two guys coming in, both sophomores. I'm not saying you guys are going to go running back by committee, but just talk about the sophomores being able to look at a running back last season who really did it all.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of it. And when you start to win and you start to have success, you have kids in middle school, you have kids in youth, you have those younger kids on the team that look up to that guy that's really good, and they want to be like that guy, and they want to continue to grow the program, and they want to be the person that people are talking about. And I think that's what Peter and Anthony, not that anyone's ever going to forget Hunter Campbell, but they want people to talk about them, and they've worked incredibly hard in the weight room in the off season. And Hunter was a very, very special talent. But something Larry Karras told me a long time ago was, those guys that played last year, Brody, Luke, and Carson, should be better than what they were last year. They're a year older, they're a year stronger. So Peter and Anthony don't have to be Hunter Campbell. They just have to be Peter Tilley and Anthony Sutler. But those other guys that played last year should be better than what they were, and that'll give us a chance to be successful.
Well, Coach, obviously this coming week you guys take on a pretty local opponent in the Sandy Valley Cardinals to open the season. How much emphasis do you typically put on the season opener for your teams, especially when you consider an opponent like Sandy Valley, an IVC foe, to start off the year?
Yeah, it's just a great opportunity for our kids. We started playing this game in 2017 on a Thursday. Sandy Valley used to be in the pack. So Stark County, Thursday night, opening the season. Our kids play each other in youth football. They know each other now with all the social media. We're kind of the spotlight. Coach Campbell does a great job. They've got a really, really good football program. And, I just want our kids to go out and have fun, because playing football in high school, especially Stark County, is really, really special. And I don't think there's any better way to start the season off. So I really just don't want to put any pressure on them. I just want them to go play and have fun. This is their reward for all the lifting that they've done, all the conditioning, all the camps this summer, and just go let it loose and play as hard as you possibly can.
Fairless head coach AJ Sarbaugh is our guest here, courtesy of the Big Time Sports Hotline. Coach, staying in football, but also a little closer to family, what's it like to coach at Fairless after you had been there, watching your dad coach? I do believe he coached there for a few years.
Yeah, it's really cool. My dad was head football and head wrestling, 95 to 97, or he left in the spring of 98. Then he went to Hoover, coached wrestling and football, coached baseball, and obviously that's where I went. But Fairless is a great place to be. We've got some really, really good people there. Our administration is awesome, and always believed Fairless could be a winner. We haven't sustained success yet. We've had a couple winning seasons, but we're trending in the right direction. And the people down there, the community, the kids, they want to win. We're doing the right things, I think, to win and be successful over time. So to see where we were in 2018, to see where we are now, besides the wins and losses, but the off-season program, the fundraisers, the youth football, people coming out and supporting the things that we do with our lift-a-thon and our community night, our alumni night. It's just amazing to see how far we've come and where we are in terms of being a football town and people getting excited for football.
Well, Coach, we want to get you out of here with this question. We learned, and I got in our notes here, that you might be a master at sports trivia, and apparently so good that the school media class at Fairless and their students came up with their own sort of like game show in which some of the students or the staff faced off against you, and we've learned that it's called Stump the Sarb, very similar to the ESPN show from a few years back. Now, the questions for you is, have you lost a match yet? And what sport do you find yourself being the most masterful at in stumping all the students and the staff?
Yeah, so I have not lost yet. The kids call me Coach Sarbs, and so the show they're going to do allegedly this fall is Stump the Sarb. We actually haven't done the show yet. They just did a couple questions last year to see if we're going to do it. I'm a high school football junkie. Like, we had the high school coaches preview last night, and I was getting interviewed by Stark Media, and me and Sam Berkwin and TJ Downing and Spider Miller talking about Stark County football and teams going back to the 70s and the 80s. So I've just grown up around the game. I love high school football. I love Stark County sports in general. I try to follow everything. I think we're in a great place and a great area, and obviously you guys are a part of that with the coverage that you give. So I try to follow everything from big school to small school and fall sport to winter to spring. So I love high school sports, and I don't think there's anything better than going out there and playing for your school and your community with your buddies.
Well, Coach, we'll have to reconvene to see if, your undefeated streak holds up after the football season, and, hopefully talk about some major postseason success. But, my last question for you, and this is, I know everybody at Fairless is aware of this, and I got to witness it last fall, the Ring of Fire dance. Go ahead and explain to our listeners, what that is, and if they do come out to Fairless and watch a home playoff game or watch a home game in general, what they can expect to see at midfield.
Yeah, so we do a talent show every year during 2-a-days. The kids have fun with it. And it started in 2019, where we had some kids drive down our hill and they were playing Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash. And 3 or 4 of them came out and started dancing to it. And the kids said, hey, when we win our first game on the turf, can we do Ring of Fire? And we said, yeah, sure. That's what we talked about. And we got our first win on the turf, and we do Ring of Fire. And I don't even know if anyone picked up on it or anything. And then the COVID year happened, so we still did Ring of Fire, but it was just the football team, and the band stood off to the side. And then last year, I give credit to our captains and our seniors at the school pep rally before Sandy Valley. They asked, if we win tonight, when we do Ring of Fire, can we invite the student section down? I said, absolutely. So that's how that took off. We're one big family at Fairless, and like I said, teaching at a small school is a really cool opportunity. And I've got kids that might not go to football games, or they wouldn't have, but because of the Ring of Fire, they're asking me in school, "Hey, Coach Sarbaugh, are we going to win? I just want to get out on the field with everybody." So we've got students from first grade on up, the band, the cheerleaders, the football team. We get a big circle, and if we win, if we're fortunate enough, we play Ring of Fire, and then they get one big break, everybody. And I think the coolest thing, Mitch, you saw it. We had some people go on the other side. No one from the home stands leaves. Right. No one goes anywhere. They all stay to watch it, and they started videotaping not only the Ring of Fire, but the crowd that stays on the home side. So we've got a lot of really good things going on in Fairless, Ohio. The community's coming together, the support. We've got a brand new high school that's going to open up here at the end of January, early February. And we're really fortunate right now. Things are really going in a positive direction for us.
Well, Coach, one last thing. I know I keep saying one last thing the last 2 times, but looking over your, I promise this is the last thing. Looking over your 2022 season schedule, and football in Ohio in general, whether it's high school, college, professional, heck, you even have people that salivate over the JV and middle school football. Go ahead and just talk about your schedule this upcoming season in 2022. You open at Sandy Valley, which is going to be a really great game to kick off the high school football season on Thursday, the 18th of August. But after that, you guys play 2 more at home. Then you travel on the road to Northwest. Orville's in there, Cuyahoga Valley Christian Academy. Just for the folks that aren't aware of the conference you're in, what type of talent and, you know, how excited and how hard are these games going to be this upcoming season for your team?
Yeah, it's going to be a bear. And that's how you want it. That's how it should be. And I think you touched on it. Sandy Valley is a great opener for us. They've been very solid. Then we play Tusky Valley at home, who's up to 40 kids. And I think Coach Dickerhoop does a really good job. And then Claymont's coming to town, and it sounds like their numbers are up, and they expect to be better. And then we go on the road and play Northwest. John DeMarco, who I've got a ton of respect for. They're always huge up front. They've got great size and good athletes. We come home to play Orville. Once again, another school with some really good athletes and a rich tradition. Go on the road to play CVCA, who has some very good players. Their running back, linebacker, Snyder, was a state champ in wrestling 2 years ago. He's a really tough kid to tackle and bring down. And then week 7, we're at home against Canton South, who obviously everyone knows about Coach Dennison and Poochie Snyder and what they're bringing into the league. So they're going to be really good. And then we go to Manchester on grass, which is a really tough place to play. Skyway comes our place with Zach Miller at quarterback, and he's been a 3-4 year starter, just a really good competitor, 3-sport guy. And as long as they have him, they'll always have a chance to win every game. And then we go to Tuscaloosa week 10 and play for the Blue Cup. And I think Coach Dolan does a really good job, and we'll be on grass over there. So every week is a challenge. Every team we play has guys. I think every coach we go against does a really good job. So there are no weeks off for us, and it'll be a challenge going on the road this year quite a bit. And now we're the hunted, you know. It's a totally different situation than last year where we hadn't won a league title and we finished second the year before. Everyone's, you know, what are you doing to knock off Fairless now? The roles are reversed. So we're going to have to handle that. And hopefully our seniors do a good job with that.
Well, Coach, once again, we thank you so much for taking the time, and best of luck to you this upcoming season here at Fairless.
Thanks for having me on, and thank you for all you guys do for high school sports. It's awesome.